Hello and welcome to the Blood Red Morning Bulletin. I'm joined by my fellow Liverpool.com writer, Emmet Gates, and today we're going to be discussing a little bit about the Everton game, Frank Lampard's comments at the end, and obviously Andy Robertson's heroics as well. Emmet, what did you make of the game? How did you think Liverpool were deserving of a 2-0 victory?
Yeah, I mean, it was always going to be a difficult game, being a Merseyside derby. And, the old cliche about form goes out the window with a derby, blah, blah, yada, yada, yada. But in many respects, it kind of was like that. They were kind of true to the cliche because Liverpool really weren't at their best. Everton did their best to disrupt Liverpool, and Liverpool couldn't really get into a rhythm or a flow. As a result, if you look at Liverpool's performance against Man United and the performance against Everton, there's only 3 or 4 days apart, but it was night and day. So Everton did their best to kind of break up Liverpool's flow, and so it was never going to be, the kind of performance that we did see against Manchester United. But in the end, they got the 3 points, 2 goals. That's all you needed. In and out. Conserve as much energy as possible, bigger fish to fry. So yeah, it was job done, but it wasn't a performance that'll stay long in the memory, for Liverpool fans of this season. But yeah, it's 3 points, a win, clean sheet. You couldn't ask for more, really.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Everton did at times trouble Liverpool, especially until Divock Origi came on and completely changed the game. And there were a few moments that, there were some contentious decisions, Everton fans will argue, over a couple of penalty shouts. What did you make of those calls?
I mean, some of the decisions were 50-50. You've seen them win, you've seen them not. But I think the referee, on the whole, did pretty good in the game. I don't think he got too many big decisions wrong. It was that kind of game where there was a lot of niggling. There was a lot of challenges going in, and a bit of, we saw that with the Jordan Henderson incident. Was it Dakore who kind of kicked his knee?
I think it was Richarlison.
Richarlison, yes, sorry, you're right. At the end, and then it was that kind of game where there was a lot of niggling, kind of off the ball. But yeah, I don't think the referee got anything really majorly wrong. I think he did as well as could be expected. And Everton really, I don't think they can complain too much about decisions that did or did not go in their favour. I just don't think they were good enough. Alisson really wasn't tested that much in Liverpool's goal. So yeah, like if you're using the referee as an excuse, that's kind of maybe to deflect away from the fact that your performance really wasn't that great in an attacking sense to begin with. So, yeah, I thought the referee handled the situation pretty decently. And the decisions could have been, 50-50 in a lot of cases. But yeah, no real major complaints from my side. What did you think?
I think he managed the game well. I think he let the game flow a lot. But like you say, obviously, Frank Lampard did deflect in his post-match sort of press conference, and he was speaking. He made a comment about how if instead of Anthony Gordon, that was Mohamed Salah at the other end, that penalty would have been given, which is an interesting remark. I think I just looked up some stats and data on it. Everton have actually been awarded 2 penalties in the last decade against Liverpool at Anfield, whereas Liverpool have been awarded just 1 penalty against Everton at Anfield in that same period. And Mohamed Salah has just received 4 fouls in almost over 900 minutes in his last 900 minutes in the Premier League. So
yeah,
I think that kind of disproves his point, and it does feel like he was deflecting from the result.
Yeah, I mean, he Lampard made some similar kind of comments leading into the game. He talked about Naby Keita against Man United, and he was saying, that it should have been a red when it was a yellow, and he was kind of making similar type comments against Liverpool going into the game. So I'm not surprised that Lampard's kind of went down this road, and obviously him and Jurgen Klopp had previous from when Lampard was manager at Chelsea. So there is definitely, I think, a bit of needle between the two managers. But yeah, I mean, as you said, you've got the stats there to disprove his theory. So yeah,
I think if we just complained about the decision itself, he probably would have had a point because it was a contentious one. But to make the comparison to Liverpool and then to Mohamed Salah is just he lost the argument there.
yeah,
Yeah.
he started well, and then it ended up he just
But other than that, I think he also commented about I don't know if you remember the incident with Sadio Mane when he sort of used his hand to swat away. I think it was Allen's head in a scuffle. I think in the first half, which I don't know if VAR reviewed it or not, but that could have been a red potentially.
Yeah, I don't remember that incident, truth be told, but yeah, it was that kind of game where tempers kind of bubbled up and then it kind of subsided and then it kind of flared up again. But yeah, I thought the referee did well in kind of keeping a lid on the situation. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, that you could always, given where Everton are in the table, that was always their game plan to disrupt Liverpool, to get in their face, to kind of break up the rhythm. And I was actually, sometimes I was kind of amazed that the game ended up 11v11. But yeah, I mean, Lampard really kind of no qualms about how Everton, Everton, they dug in and they fought well enough, but they just lacked the cutting edge really.
Well, I think Richarlison could have been potentially sent off in the other end. He had some pretty horrendous challenges, but yeah, like you said, Lampard. You can't really complain about a 2-0 result when you've just had the lowest possession percentage in the entire Premier League history. So after that,
what was the stat about Allen? He touched. What was it? He touched the ball twice or something.
I think he completed 2 passes in the entire game, and both were from quick kickoff. Every other pass he couldn't complete. So.
That is a mad statistic.
I'm sure in the Championship he'll complete more next season. But back to Liverpool, I think it was the perfect kind of result for them psychologically. I think there were shades of people will still remember when Jose Mourinho came to town in the 2013-14 season and he ruined Liverpool's party, and there were shades of that kind of atmosphere brewing in the first half for sure. But having overcome that gives Liverpool a huge psychological edge, surely.
Yeah, I mean, this was it was a big week. Obviously because it was Man City and then there was Man United and there was Everton, and that's 3 victories on the bounce. Obviously against 2 historical rivals, and then obviously with the new rival as such in Man City. So yeah, I mean, the psychological boost, as you say, that Liverpool will get from those 3 victories and not conceding any goals against United and Everton will be huge. And you kind of now look at the fixture list and it's kind of starting to ease up a bit. Obviously, there's still a lot of games, but you look at them and you think most of them are winnable, for Liverpool at this point. And yeah, that was a big week last week, and now that's out of the way. And yeah, I mean, just the boost that Liverpool will get from 3 consecutive wins over their biggest rivals and most historic rivals is, you can't quantify that. So yeah, it's been a really, really big week, and obviously not conceding any goals in the 2 league meetings always is an extra boost.
Yeah, I think as well, having that knowledge that Divock Origi still has that moment in him heading into the final few bits of the season is a nice reassurance to have. He's still got it.
Yeah, he still strikes fear into the hearts of Everton.
Exactly. Someone just put in the comment section that I think that was the last time we will play Everton again in our history. Bold statement, but I think I'm going to conclude with that. thanks Emmett for joining me. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and make sure to check out the rest of the Blood Red content going out today and all the written content on liverpool.com, where we'll be covering and discussing the game still.